Welcome to the revision video covering the financial statements assessment. This video takes you step by step through the worksheet and 3 financial accounting statements for the chain and gear practice assessment in the back of your workbook. We will look at the accounts worksheet, the statement of financial position, the income statement, and finally the statement of cash flows. The assessment and practice in your workbook looks the same as this, with some additional notes added that you can see in blue, just to help you understand exactly how to post the items. For example, here we have paid supplier £14,000 for stock of 500 helmets received in June. The note here says that this is a cash transaction, not a cost of sale. We're going to deal with the cost of sales further down in the transaction. So you're just going to record the cash transaction here. Similarly, we have the received payment of £7,000 for items sold in June. Again, this is a cash transaction, not a revenue item to record it in the profit and loss or the income statement. So the first 2 items aren't going to be in your profit column. Then the next 2 items are both sales transactions, even though the first of these is in credit and the second item is in cash. But they will both be included in the sales. The second 2 items are both cost of sales transactions. Next we have the staff salaries. We then have the prepayment, which, if you followed the previous videos going through the life of chain and gear from April, May and June, we have a utility bill of £150, and the last of this is going to be charged in the month of August. And then we have the laptop depreciation, which is the same every month, as we've seen in each of the videos to date. The last item is we've actually physically paid the invoice for an item that we'd previously accrued for. So this is just a cash, not a cost entry in the profit column on your worksheet. It's already been recorded as a cost in the previous month, so we don't need to put that into the profit column. And the last 2 items are pretty straightforward in terms of bank interest received and bank charges. So the requirements are to complete the 4 main areas, the worksheet and the 3 financial statements, which is what we are going to go through now. First of all, I'm just going to clear the transactions that we already have on this particular worksheet. Okay, so we have paid our supplier £14,000. So we're going to record that £14,000 in the cash column, and this will reduce the amount we owe our creditors. Notice there's nothing on the far right hand column. We're simply paying a supplier for the stock. And similarly, the next transaction is £7,000 receipt from a customer, and that in turn will reduce the amount that our customers owe us under debtors. Again, there is no transaction on the far right hand column in terms of the revenues. This does not apply to revenues. Next we have the £6,000 cash sale, or credit sale I should say, so £6,000 credit sale, which is recorded under the debtors, and then £6,000 as a revenue in the particular month of the profit period. Then we have a £3,000 cash sale, so this will now have £9,000 worth of sale to record, or revenue to record in the month. We also have the we have to go into the warehouse and send this stock to the customer, which will be our cost of sales. So we're going to take £3,360 out of our stock and send that to the customer. That will be a cost of sale for the month. And the same applies to the next transaction. We're going to record the stock being sent to the customer and the cost of sale for the month. In the profit column. Okay, we then have salaries of £1,000, which we pay in cash. And this is a cost in the month, which appears in the profit column. And we have the £50 for the utility bill. This is the last month where we have to deal with prepayment. So we put through the August share of the utility bill, which we've been prepaying in previous months, and now we can clear that debtors balance that was related to the utility bill for the previous 3 months. So effectively now the utility company wouldn't owe us any money. We have the depreciation of £25, which is the same each month for chain and gear, and that is a cost in the month. So it's reducing the value of our equipment, and there's a cost in the month for £25. And then we have accrual for distribution costs. So not an accrual, the actual payment for the previous accrual. So we're physically going to pay the invoice this month, and we're going to reduce how much we owe creditors. Noted, isn't it, a transaction on the far right hand column because it was recorded as a cost in the previous month following the previous chain and gear video. And then we have bank interest received of £25 and bank charges of £30. So we have interest received of £25 and we have cost of £30 to record on the far right hand column. So just to recap, the tricky items are the first two where we are paying a supplier but it's no cost in the particular month, we're just like paying our debts to the supplier. Same with the customer receipt, the second transaction. And then when we get down to the utility, we are just finishing the last month of that prepayment. The depreciation is the same every month, and then the accrual is just the payment of the actual invoice that we previously accrued for. So the invoice hadn't been received in the previous month, so we put it through an accrual. This is us actually paying for that particular invoice this month. So there's no need to put it in the far right hand column as we go through. So we now are going to have our information to complete the financial statements. We'll begin with the statement of financial position, and to do that we'll take the cumulative totals at the bottom of our worksheet, which we have summarized here. So we've got equipment of 625, stock of 3270, debtors of 11,000, 12,000 of cash, 3,500 of creditors, 20,000 of share capital, 1148 retained earnings, and 2880 of profit for the period. All of these will be in the same order in the statement of financial position. So there is our £625 for the equipment. Here we have the inventories of 3270. Then we have trade receivables of 11,050, cash at bank, and here we have our first subtotal for current assets. And then we have trade payables 3,500, and then we've got our next subtotal of current liabilities of 3,500. Now we then need to do a subtotal of net current assets, which is the difference between A, 26,000 current assets, B, and C is 3,500 for current liabilities. So the difference between those two would give us 23,403. Next we have loans, where there isn't any for this particular month, and our net assets is the sum of our non-current assets, our net current assets, and our non-current liabilities, which we don't have this month. So it's just the sum of those two areas to give us our net assets. Next, we have to put in our share capital of 20,000, our retained earnings of 1148, and our profit and loss of 2880. When we total those three items up, we get £24,028. And you'll notice that this is the same as our net assets calculation, and we know our statement of financial position balances. Next, we go to our income statement. And here you notice on the right hand side we've got an extract of the profit for the period straight from our worksheet, so we're going to utilize that in our calculations here. So you will see that we have £9,000 worth of revenue, which has come from our two revenue items. We also have our cost of sales of 5,040, which has come from our two cost of sales items. In your assessment, we will only have one sale and one cost of sale, which will make this process even more straightforward. And the gross profit is the difference between those two numbers, just a simple calculation of 9,000 minus 5,040. You'll notice then we've got the bank charges of £30, which we've got down here at the bottom, £30. Depreciation of 25, straight from our worksheet. Heat and light, this is the £50. And then finally salaries and wages of £1,000, which is the remaining item from our accounts worksheet. And the only item left that we haven't included is the finance income, which we've called the interest received. That's the one thing that we do need to include. So there's our interest received, otherwise called finance income. So there's our interest received. And you'll notice that then we have the same profit figure that we have in the accounts worksheet. So we know we've got all of our items into the accounts worksheet. So if we work backwards to the accounts worksheet, you see there is the £2,880 that we have in our income statement. So now we've got all of the transactions that have come across from the accounts worksheet. And finally, we have the statement of cash flows. First of all, you'll see that we have our opening balance from our workings from the worksheet. Then we've got our closing balance from our worksheet. Both of these items will be included on our statement of cash flows. There is our closing period figure, and we've also got our opening figure to start our process off. So we have £1,000 of receipts from customers. Sorry, £10,000 of receipts from customers. So we have, just to show you that where this has actually come from, there's our £10,000, and we've got first of all one receipt here, and we have another here. So there's our £10,000 from our customers. We have £14,000 of payments for stock, which we have straight from our column now. And then finally we have our last few transactions. We have our payments to our employees of £1,000. which leaves us with both the bank interest received of £25, which we'll highlight here, of £25, which leaves us with two items for both the distribution costs of 35 and the bank charges of 30, and that's how we get the £65. Then we have a subtotal of 5065, so we've negative 5065 in the month, and we reduce that, actually just reduces slightly by £25 to give us 5040 in the month for July. And that actually can be checked in your calculations in your assessment next week. If you take 12,583, the difference between that and 1763 is 5040. So our cash has fallen by £5,040 in the month of July. So just to recap, we have our cash column, gives us our statement of cash flows, and we have our profit for the period, comes from this final column on the far right hand side. And then we have finally at the very bottom, the accounts worksheet will give us our totals for our statement of financial position. That's how we put together the statements for the accounts worksheet. So there are 40 minutes. There will be approximately 15 minutes on the accounts worksheet, 15 minutes on the accounts worksheet, 10 minutes on the statement of financial position, 10 minutes on the income statement, and about 5 minutes on the statement of cash flows. Let's give you some approximate guide with your time management for the assessment next week. On that note, good luck with your assessment.